Hi Paint Partiers! It's Liza from Liza's Paint Parties, and I'm glad that you are joining me today. It's Wednesday, so it's time for our weekly free paint party. Tonight we have this beautiful painting that we're going to be recreating. This one is called Sunset Sailing, and it won with like 39, I think, % of the vote last week. So very close in terms of the voting. For anyone who is joining me for the first time, what I do here is every week everyone on our site votes for a painting that they really enjoy. So I put up 3 options every Saturday at around noon on the Paint Party site, and then everyone votes for the one that they like best. The one with the most votes by the following Tuesday at noon is the one that's declared the winner, and that's the painting that we paint together live on the Wednesday evening. So this painting, as with all the options on the site, this is one that I found. It looks like I found it on Pinterest. It could have also been on a Google search, and I really like the colors and how pretty and vibrant and nice it was. And so all the paintings that are the options are things that I haven't painted before. Usually, I think there's 1 or 2 coming up that I included in the mix that were paintings I had done for fun, that we haven't actually done together before, so I'm excited to see if they're chosen. I won't tell you which ones are which. But yeah, so these paintings are ones I haven't done, so I haven't done this before, but I will walk you through how I'll approach reproducing this. And if you have any tips or tricks or any things that you would like to share, feel free to write it in the comments. Please use the comment section. Let me know where you're tuning in from. If it's your first time, I'd love to get to know all of you. If you are joining in, whether you're joining in right now on the live session or whether you're watching this in the future, please snap a picture of your painting and share it with me. I love to see how you have done your own versions, and everyone ends up doing something different, something unique, and I've learned a lot from you who've shared in the past, and I think the community is just better with that kind of vibe in it. So it's very cool. Hi Rula, I'm glad you're joining tonight. Yeah, and so we'll get started in just a few minutes. I actually started a little bit later. My computer was doing a bit of a reboot. I had to like update some install some updates, what I was trying to say. So I got on a little bit later than what I normally do. But we'll get started in a little bit. I'm going to run through the supplies that I have. If you are joining and you are enjoying the paint session, again, these are free. So you might see sometimes there's been some scammers that have come around and will randomly put up links underneath other posts and basically try to get your credit card information and say that's the only way you can watch it. But if you can see me, this is where you are. They are always free. You either can watch all my previous videos. This is the 69th paint party. So this is will be available ongoing on the Facebook page under the videos tab, and it's also will be on my YouTube channel under Liza's Paint Parties. So the videos are always free. If you want to support me and want to send a tip or anything my way, of course you can just write a tip if you like. Just give me some feedback. I love it. If it's something financial support, I always appreciate it, of course. You can buy me a coffee. There's a link there, and you can send. It's kind of a cute little way to send appreciation, so I think I really enjoy that site. So feel free to do it that way. Facebook has something called stars as well, so you can do it that way as well. But Facebook does take like a chunk of it, which is kind of weird. So they're kind of a strange system. But anyways, but yeah, and if you would like me to host any parties for you in the future, please let me know. Reach out to me directly, and then we can arrange something and talk about what that looks like. All right, so we are going to be doing this painting. Let's talk through the supplies that I have on hand. And again, you can use the supplies that you have available to you. It doesn't have to be the exact same as I do. I'm using an 11 by 14 canvas board. I'm going to be using it in like this portrait, so basically like upright, vertical, I guess, stature. I don't know. I'm using acrylic paint. As always, my paint is basic crafter's paint. It's from the dollar store. They're like $1 each. I have yellow, red, blue, white and black. I have other colors too. Sometimes I'll dip into them as well, but I'll talk you through how to create colors just with your basics. If you have your 3 primary colors in black and white, you can make any other color that you so desire, and we'll walk through that as we go on. Also, I have a paint palette so you can mix paints on. I have water container and also paper towel. And I suggest having 3 sizes of brushes. So I always say have a very large one for a good coverage, a medium size one, and lastly a fine point one. This one, yeah, there we go. And a fine point brush. So the big brush I use is a size 10, and it's like a flat, I believe it's called a filbert. And then the medium one I'm using, I believe, is a size 2. And then my thin brush is actually a size 4, but it actually gives me a pretty good point. And sometimes I'll alternately use this other one. It's called a cat's tongue brush, and it actually does give also quite a good point as well. But those are the ones that I use predominantly. So it's really just up to you, whatever one you feel like you have the most control over, and depending on your canvas size. So if you're using a much larger canvas, then those are going to increase in size, the brushes, or decrease depending on how big your canvas is. All right, so let's get started. All right, so I'm going to move this over so you can see that a lot better. Let's go down like that. Okay, perfect. I have a bit of a shadow going on today, don't I? It's just on my screen. Oh no, you know what? Actually, I think it's just on my screen. I think you guys are good. Awesome. Okay, so as with all paintings that we start with, we're going to start with furthest back. So the first thing you want to do when we're starting any painting is you want to look at the composition and we want to think about how we want to replicate it. First of all, you want to decide whether you want to replicate it exactly as your inspiration image or if you want to go rogue and do your own thing. With this image, I'm going to try and stay similar to it, but I think I am going to be playing around with the color a bit. I really love that there's lots of bright colors. I love that there's this nice circular shape that emanates from your sun, the sun point. And I love that you have this beautiful, colorful, very magical reflection. Like, this does not look realistic at all, like having all these random reds and yellows and blues and oranges and greens in the water. And I really love that about it. So I'm going to be playing a bit with that. We're going to start with the sky first. And I want to have it similar in size. So when I look at this, I say that it's about, if I take the sky and I kind of bring it each side, it's about 1/3 of your canvas. So I would apply the same principle into whatever size if you're trying to make it match up. And I would say, okay, so it's about, if I look here, is that about 1/3? Let's play with it. And again, it doesn't have to be exact. Maybe a little bit more, or maybe more like that, I suppose. So the sky's going to come down about here or so. So if you want, you can mark it a little bit with like a pencil or something, or we can just do it by eye. I often just do it by eye. But today I had a pencil on hand, so why not? Okay, so the way we're going to approach this background here is we're going to move pretty quickly in applying the paint because I want to have a nice blend that happens. But we also want to be cautious in over blending the paint as well. So we're going to be kind of being, how should I explain it? We're going to be precise in putting the blues on the outside. We're going to be precise in putting yellows on the inside, oranges and reds. And then we're going to use white paint to kind of help with the blending process between them. So what I'm trying to say is you're not going to be putting in your blue and then right away with that same brush grab the yellow and stick it on, because then it's going to become green and it's not going to work properly. We need to have it with a nice distinction and separation. So I'm going to be using the paper towel often to like clean off my brush as I go, so I can ensure that I have a nice like separation of color as we go. The first thing I want to do, I think, is we're just going to wet down the canvas. So I'm going to get a little bit of water and my biggest brush, and I'm just going to slightly put a little layer of water on the canvas. And this will just allow the paint is water-based, acrylic is water-based paint, it will just allow the paint to go on and blend and be nice and smooth. Hi, Jody. Okay, so, and then because I'm using a canvas board, they tend not to soak in the water as well. If you're using actual like cold canvas, even if it's from the dollar store or whatever, it does soak in the water a lot better. So that's the difference between using like a canvas board versus that. Okay, let's put some paint on our palette. So I want to get some yellow on here, and I want to get my red, and I want to get my blue. Just putting some globs on my palette right now. And then I'm going to get some white. Okay. All right, so let's start by just, I think actually I was going to use my big brush, and I might, but I think I want to start with my medium brush more. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to just, with white, which you're not going to be able to see very well, I want to just decide where I want that sun to be. So it's going to be about there. I'm just doing it with white. It'll end up being a little yellowy after, but let's get the white going. I might just, you know what, why not? Let's put a bit of yellow in there. Start to flesh it out, and then we can define it later. Okay. And then I want to go in and I want to start putting in some of that orangey sky. So I'm going to mix some of my red and some of my yellow together, or alternately, if you already have orange pre-mixed, feel free to do that. So I'm going to start, put some orange around. I'm not going to worry too much about how it looks. I'm just going to get the paint on there. And as I continue going out, and I'm going to just go and put some red. Now, in this area, there is a nice blend that goes from one to the other. So we can bring the orange up into the red and start to blend them together. And if you go a little bit below where your horizon line is, if that's totally fine, it will make sense because then the horizon will sit nicely where the sky is and it will all work together. And I'm not going to worry too much about my sun because I'm going to place it in afterwards more precisely. It's just to give me an idea so I could start building out my sky. Now this sky's a little bit interesting because it goes from like this yellow center to orange to like red, and then it goes back to yellow, which would not be where my brain would naturally go. I would start probably going into more of the darker colors or maybe to like a purple or something, you know, but then it goes back lighter. So again, this is a very non-realistic sky. And that's okay. We don't need the sky to be realistic. Want a realistic sky? Guess what? Just look outside. Actually, yeah, there is a nice, oh, sorry, I got some yellow on my brush, and I'm just going to start to bring in some of that yellow on the outside here. And right now, it's okay to kind of use the same brush and to kind of mix and play with the colors because these colors all blend very harmoniously together. Just when we get to the blue, it's going to be a little tricky because we don't necessarily want to have green happening in the sky. I mean, it's not like detrimental or anything, but I don't know, I feel like that might look a little bit odd. Just putting a little bit of yellow around here. I'm doing kind of my own little vibe to it too, so kind of feeling it. It doesn't have that much yellow around, but I'm going to go for it. I'm going to use some white as I go, and just to continue to start blending a bit. It's going to make my sky a little pink, but that's okay. Just keep, don't know if I want that yellow that bright anyways. There we go. Okay, we do have some blues on the side, but I'm not going to put that in just yet. Okay, start using some white just to dull out some of my bright yellow that's happening here. Which I like it, but it's a little in your face. Just want to dull it out a bit, so I'm just putting some white on top of that. Just remember to keeping below wherever you want, where that horizon line is going to cut across the bottom of your sky there. Okay, so I have this kind of going. Hi, Adriana. Okay, so now I'm going to clear off my brush. So I want to start playing a bit with the blues and the whites, but I don't want it to become green. So let's do that. So I'm just going to clear off my brush a bit. I'm just going to go pure blue, and then I'm going to start to put in some of this blue here. Still trying to keep with these like circular or arcs, I guess. They're emanating from our center point. And now to have more of a blend, I'm going to get a big globberoonie of white and go in between, put the white in, and then I'll start bringing it into and over my blue. But I still want to have, I don't want it just to be like all one blue color. So I want to keep it streaky. And the way I do that is I'm not trying just to blend and have it all same. I try to go over the same spot quite a bit with the brush. So if I have like a big glob of white, I go over the same spot with that white, and then I may bring it over on the other side or on top of another color. But I then go a bit lighter on my brush, so I kind of play with like how much pressure I'm putting. So that we still keep, like here, we're still keeping that darker stroke. And we're still keeping it a little bit lighter in some other spots too. It's looking kind of cool. I feel like it's very hard from the one to the other. So now I'm going to get white, and I'm just going to start trying to integrate the blue, but now I need to get rid of all that blue. There's too much blue happening on my brush. Still going to be a little bit on there, but I want to play with the white so I can bridge between this yellow and this blue without making a green. And again, having the green is not the worst thing, but I'm trying to minimize that. I think we did a pretty good job there. And now bring in. So now my yellow up here is pretty dry. So now when I put in a little bit of blue, it won't become green. It will stay blue. And right now I'm just going to be putting in a couple of little lines, and then I'm going to use white to soften it and blend it and make it look more seamless into the yellow. Okay. And I'm still going to touch up that sun. That's not where I want it to. I don't want the sun to look like that at the end of this. It's just, for now, it was just, again, to eyeball it a little bit. If it's a bit too light in that corner, I want it a little bit more blue. Right. I'm going back pretty frequently to reapply white to my brush because I want it to maintain keep the white on there, and if I'm touching blue often, then the blue ends up going onto the brush and you no longer have your white. You can also do this too. If I put a little bit of water on my brush, using water can help blend it a bit. The one thing I would caution you on that is water can just turn everything into like the same color. Like it ends up just smearing it all and getting away with some of your painterly lines. So just be cautious of it, because it might take away some of the things you like about the painting. The great thing again about acrylic paint is if that happens, you can always just let it dry and then paint again. It's the nice thing about it. It's never like permanent like that, you know? You always change it up. Yeah, try to remember to do, especially if you have an actual like full-on canvas, make sure you do the tops and the sides so that it looks like it's continuing on across the page. And so I did notice, like in our inspiration image, the blue kind of continues here, but the yellow still kind of comes up. I'm trying to mimic that a bit. I think I need to still play a little bit more with the yellow to get that fully happening. I'm just using white to soften it a bit. And for me, I really like seeing lots of like paintbrush strokes. I do like the softness, but I really love seeing like, yeah, like each color stroke happening. I think that looks really cool. Add a little bit more blue on this side, so I feel like it's a little bit too light. It's more white. Okay, very nice, very nice. I'm just using some white just to get it a little bit softer in some areas. And I'm holding my paintbrush. I'm using it a lot oftentimes, even though this is like a pretty wide flat brush like that. I use it on the side a lot to get more of a thinner strokes happening. Alright, I'm digging that. I think that looks pretty darn nice. Okay. So I'm gonna flesh out that sun a bit more before we move on. So I think, yeah. Okay, so I want it to still be pretty white. So I'm just gonna go in and I'm just gonna re-establish the shape that I want for this sun, which is more circular, less like oblong. Was that oblong, I suppose? Obtuse. Did not work the way I wanted it to, that's for sure. Okay, so I'm going to try to get it. And you can do this by hand. If you prefer, you can always use like a stencil to get the shape more circular. Up to you, which you would prefer. And I'm going to put a little bit of yellow in it because it's not fully white, but I do like it to very, very, very light yellow. And I'm okay if there's like a bit of like white, almost like ring on it. I think that will make it look that much brighter. And I do want to play still a little bit more with the colors that we have going around the sun, because I can't help myself and I like things to be a little bit streakier. And you can do this or you don't have to. This is where I'm kind of going off on a bit of a tangent, on my own tangent. And a little bit of more color. I'm just adding a little bit more red, and I'm going to put a bit more orange, and I'm going to blend it out again. Just for funsies. Cool. So again, you can do this or you can leave it more soft like it was before. It's up to you. But I just want to add a little bit more like lines and strokes in it. That's more my style. Cool. I'll show you a bit closer what we got going on there. So that's how I ended up doing my sky. So it's a little bit more painterly and a bit more intense, I guess, than our inspiration image. But I'm for it. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. Next up on our agenda is to start on the water. So it's an interesting image because it's very dark here, which makes me think that there's land or something. And I guess there could be, but at the same time, the way the boat is going and it's so far in that direction makes me think that it just kind of keeps like going and there's like no land there. For me, I think I do want to put some land in the background because I really like putting in land. But regardless whether you want to add land or whether you don't, it's going to start the same type of way where we're going to be just drawing in where we want the horizon to be. I'm going to be using black paint for this part. Some black paint. Thinner brush. I don't know if I like this one for it. I'll try. I'm going to use my medium, my number 2 medium brush. Okay. I don't know if anyone has left any additional comments. The last comment I got was like 13 minutes ago, so I just want to make sure. Sometimes what happens is the comments don't come up properly, so just in case. So if you left any comment in the last like 13 or 14 minutes, nothing's come up. Just as a heads up. Sometimes that's happened, and it's really frustrating. And then after my paint party's done, I'll go back and I'll look, and there's like tons of comments, and it looks like I just was ignoring everyone, and that's absolutely not the case. I'm just going to take a quick check because I want to make sure none of those sketchy people are trying to put on random links, and I found someone else doing that, so I'm just going to ban them. Okay. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure no one gets scammed or clicks those links thinking that that's what they're supposed to do. Okay, so let's decide where we want that horizon line to be. And you can do it if you want a guide. You can always use, like, if you have paper towel, you could use that. You know what? I'm going to use it this time. Why not? I usually don't. I usually eyeball it. Sometimes it's a good thing I eyeball it. Sometimes it's a very bad thing. So I'm just going to put or you could use a ruler or whatever. It's like a line to work with. Nice. Okay, good, ruler. I'm glad. Thank you for commenting. I appreciate it. Just again, you guys don't have to comment. I just would hate if someone just thought that I was ignoring them when I just didn't. The comments just weren't showing up. Okay, so I'm gonna put in, so following that guide. So I think I'm gonna just make a bit of land. And again, changing it up a little bit. And it's not going to stretch the whole way, I don't think, even though I did draw that black line across the entire thing. Perhaps I should not have done that. That's okay. So I'm just going to give some movement and make it look like there's some hills maybe in the distance. Okay. Very low hills. Low rolling hills. Maybe I want it to be a bit higher. You know what? I'm going to make that a little bit higher. I'm going to make this a little higher too. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do. Cool. I'll put that in here too. Okay. Alright, so it's pretty thick, so if you want to just continue on with that, like it is going to kind of go into the water because there's going to be a bit of shadow happening. So just to bring it down a bit. And it is quite dark close to here. I'm putting like a little bit of line underneath here. Start playing with the water. We'll blend into each other. Very, very cool. Okay, so I want to just get rid of the black for a moment or two. I will play with the black a little bit more afterwards. But I want to start putting in our beautiful water. Now we're going to have lots of fun with this, and we're going to be very free with it. Okay, so we're going to play. We're going to first, just to keep things wet as we go, we're going to first put water on this part of the canvas where we're going to be putting in our water. Just like wet our canvas down a bit, not a lot. So again, canvas board like me, we're going to be dabbing our board off a bit. We don't want a lot of water to soak it in the same way, right? So like that. That's not. Okay, cool. Okay, nice. So now we're gonna have some fun. So we can start with any color, really. We're gonna take a look at our inspiration image, if you're going that route. If you're not and you have your own colors happening, that's fine too. What we're going to look at is this, is we're gonna say, okay, so the sun is here. We clearly see a bit of a white colored kind of reflection from the sun, kind of like a path down here. It kind of continues on almost all the way down, that like white, bright reflection. And then you just have a play of colors on all over the place, right? So we're gonna play with colors. So I'm gonna grab red, let's say, to start. And I'm just going to start putting in a few little lines of red. Here and here. Maybe over here. Pure red. There's some more down here. We're just going to put little streaks. Not going to worry too much about how it looks, how much paint I use. I'm just going to have fun, and I'm going to throw color on the canvas. And I'm putting red paint in streaky ways all over the place. Okay? Cool. Streaky red. Now let's pick another color, right? I'm just gonna wipe off that brush. I'm not gonna worry too much if the colors mix, because some of these colors are gonna mix anyways. So I'm gonna get some yellow on that brush. Then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna put yellow in streaks around. And again, if I end up touching some of the red, that's fine. Maybe we pull some of it and it comes along on our journey of adding the yellow, which becomes almost like a bit of an orange. As we do. So now I'm putting some of this yellow into this red area. That's becoming a little orangey. Okay, and then I'm going to just mix and make my orange, or if you have pre-mixed orange, you can use that too. So I'm just going to get actual, like the orange color I want, and I'm going to put that in some of the white spaces. Whenever I mix my own kind of color, it always, I never mix enough of it. I always need way more than I think I'm going to need. So lots of colors here. Aw, Jody. Oh yeah, no problem, Dan. Dan just said that she missed part of it and will be on later to catch up. Absolutely. Whenever it's convenient for you, my dear. Okay. So I'm just wiping off those colors. And now I'm going to go in with white. And I'm going to just play with the white. Now I'm just putting some of it down the middle, but I'm still going to be adding some more. We're still going to be going back and forth a bit. I still want to add some of those darker colors too. So I'm just going to put some white. And this really is a color play. Like, just have fun with it. And just add little bursts of colors. And we're going to keep layering and building this beautiful lake. And as we go, you might end up dulling out a line or two that you really like. And that's okay, because we can always put it back in. You can put in a new line afterwards. It's totally fine. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go and get some blue and kind of do the same thing, but with the blue, we don't go everywhere. So you can see, like, the blue, there's definitely some blues happening here, right? Like, there's like some murkiness, blues coming in down in this area. Surprised there's not much purples happening in this painting. I feel like I want some purples. Some greens down in this. I guess that's where it gets a little bit like boggy. And there's some here too. So we're going to bring down. There's some blue lines, some blues happening. Let's grab some yellow, like some boggy green. Why not? Now we want some green. Come on, blue and yellow. Okay, so we got some blues happening. Okay. Yeah, I do want to put some more blues. Where are we putting them? Up here a bit. I see some blues living up in here. I'm coming in this way a bit. Okay, there's just a little bit up in here. There's some more like in here. There's some black in here too, but we're just gonna work on this blue right now. Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. I'm going to go with the black. Now the black I'm going to be very cautious about, because black will take over very quickly. I'm just going to start playing a little bit with it in some areas. And I'm going into some of the white spaces around this blue streaky spots. I'm going to come back up here and put some more black in. Up here it's very dark. Okay, so we have very painterly water happening. Okay, and I still want to put more layers on here and keep building this a bit more. So where else am I going to go with this? Well, I'm going to use my pre-mixed orange because I want to play more with orange, and I'm feeling a little constrained with mixing it as I'm going. Very similar in shade to the color I've got, so I'm just going to pop it in. And just get into some of these spots. Some yellow. Cool. Alright, so I still see too much white happening in some of these areas, so I'm going to get some more of my blue. And I'm just putting a little bit of white just to change the shade of it a bit. I can see the canvas too much underneath it, and I want it to be more opaque. Same on this side here too. Just gonna use a little bit of water as well, just to soften it and blend the lines a little bit more with this kind of blue-white that I'm adding. There we go. And I'll have that piece is going to live here, so I'm not going to worry too much about that part. I'm just putting water on my brush. I'm just going over some other spots just to make it look a little bit, to blend out the lines slightly. I won't go there yet for that. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go back with white and just put in some little white strokes more intentionally. Okay, cool. All right. Well, it has a cool vibe to it. I just want to, can still see my canvas and some behind some of these parts, and I don't like it, so I'm just going to touch up a bit before I move on to the next section of our painting. All right. Okay, so I'm going to show that a bit closer so you can see what the strokes kind of look like. A lot of color play, and as you saw, it really is just you throw the colors on. So you throw on some red, ooh, the colors, like the way the light is, it's looking funny. And the main impact is just trying to have that white that kind of comes all the way down. That's what gives it a nice impact. And we're going to put the bird. We'll put the boat in a little bit too. Okay, so I think before I want to put the boat in, because it's still a little wet up there, I want to go in and I want to put in this shadow of land that exists. So this kind of comes up about here, I would say. So I'm just going to put in basically all of this will be black, and then we'll put in all the little shoots of leaves and other growth that's happening there. And then I'm going to bring this up here. Alright, some more black Cool. So, there we go. We have our land happening. I can use my thinner brush to play with the shoots that are coming up. Great. To get the excess paint off. You definitely don't want to let your brushes dry, the acrylic paint to dry in the brushes, even though it's water-based. It will still be very hard for it to come off fully, and you'll ruin your brushes that way. Okay. I'm just going to get a thinner brush. And we're going to start to put in some of those. So really you can start any which way you want. I would use a thinner brush, like, and some of them shoot up quite high, like they're kind of come up to there. Some of them stay quite low. So we can just start off even just like putting in some little ones. And depending on the control of your brush, so for me, I can start off thin and then I put a little bit more pressure to make it a bit thicker as it goes closer to the bottom. So I'm just putting in a few random crisscrossing. I'm putting a little bit of water into my black paint just to make it a bit easier and smoother as I'm painting. There we go. And have some other ones shooting off a bit. You can really put as many or as few as you like. Just kind of keep putting them in. Whoop, whoop. Okay. I think I feel pretty good about these ones on this side. I'll put a few more, I think. And now let's go on this side. I want to put a few here too. Okay. Some are kind of sneaking in off the side of the canvas. Okay. All right. That looks pretty nice. Cool. So to get that boat in. Lovely sailboat. Will be our next stop on this journey. Okay, so I'll show a little bit closer those lines. That's how mine look, like that. Okay. And then we get our boat. I'm going to stick with my smaller brush. And I'm going to start by using black. And I'm going to look at the way this is constructed on the inspiration image. And there is black that kind of goes in a slight curve in the boat. So it kind of starts about here and it kind of goes like this. And that's like, yeah, and then we're still going to put some other colors on this sail. And what else are we going to do? We're going to just make the bottom of it slightly black. Like so. It's like a witch's hat. And then we're going to put a little bit of shadow in the water. Okay, now I want to still put a little bit more in here because the sail is like a nice kind of reddish color. I'm just going to mix kind of like a pinky, red, pinkish. So it's on this side of it. Okay. And I'm going to get some white just to give it a bit of a highlight on that side. And the white's going to come out this side a bit, here too. And put a blue line there, and here. There we go. And also, let's fix those lines a little bit. Okay. There we go. I'll show you the boat. I put the black in there, then I made it a little bit of pinky color, and then I just put a white line on either side just for a bit of a definition of the boat. And yeah, and there we go. So I think that wraps up this painting. That was super duper fast. I was not expecting it to take just over an hour, so there we go. Fast one tonight, eh? All right, well, I hope you all enjoyed our painting party this week. It's a nice sunset sail, really pretty, really painterly. Definitely took a little bit of liberties on that. And you can definitely change it up however you so desire. You could add maybe more of like some trees in the background if you'd rather have that kind of look going on. You can change up even the silhouette in the front. You can maybe make like a little bunny rabbit or have something else, be like a figure of a person sitting or something. You can change it up to make it your own, which is what I love about painting together and about looking at an inspiration image and making it your own. So I'd strongly encourage you doing that with yours. If you did paint along with me tonight, please snap a picture of your painting and share it. I'll be posting this one in another post on the main page, so you can see it if you want to use it as reference at any point. And again, if you enjoyed the sessions, you can buy me a coffee. There's a link there if you'd so like. Besides that, the paint parties are completely free, so please don't share your credit card information with anyone. You don't need to click any random links like that to view the parties. The parties are all free, and all the videos are on the videos tab on the Facebook site or on my YouTube channel under Liza's Painting Parties. And that's about it. So I hope you all had a fantastic evening. Thanks again for joining me. Again, on Saturday, there'll be 3 new options for you to choose from. So please, if you haven't already, you can follow and like the page, and then you can get notified when those come up so that you can be involved in the voting as well. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your night and a great week. Bye.